Hello. Well, I think I wanna talk about a little bit about racism because I think because of my recent videos and maybe people who maybe don't like me or whatever watching my videos, I think I might want to clarify my stances on racism and race-related things. I have already some statistical videos, etc., dealing with Black Lives Matter, but I just wanna speak on the racism because I have, I think, more videos talking about sexism and stuff like that, and how they are trying to kind of switch this around that sexism is just something men do to women. All this prejudice plus power equals racism thing, and of course it also is or sexism thing, and also they more often do it with the racism. So prejudice plus power equals racism. But of course, because I'm not racist, I have a black friend. So let's see what my black friend says, and we'll just have a conversation, a positive chat about these things, and see where we come up. So here we go.
Look at that view. Beautiful, isn't it? This camera don't really do it justice. Am I better off than a homeless person somewhere out there in that view? Of course I am. Of course I am.
I agree. If you have a lot of money, you are better off than some homeless person, regardless of their skin color. Is this controversial? Is this odd? Well, let's see.
Do I look like an idiot to you?
Well, I don't know. Do you believe that you are worse off than some homeless person? Because if you would think that, you would look like an idiot.
Do you think I acquired what I have acquired being a self-righteous, self-consumed idiot?
Pretty much, yeah. And I am going to clarify that.
Oblivious to my money and the power of my money?
Yes, definitely.
And let me tell you, regardless of what you think I look like, I'm not. I didn't get this far being an idiot.
Yes, but you are pushing this bullshit agenda that makes no sense. That's being idiot.
But having come this far, I have a responsibility to speak out and to notify you, white people, to let you know that even that there is power in a homeless white male, white female. There is power in your white skin.
Well, let's think about that. Even if we go by the current rhetoric that prejudice plus power equals racism, well, what power does a homeless white person have over a rich black person or rich woman or whatever? Not much. So, originally, when racism was just prejudice based on race, and that makes more sense, it described what kind of is the motivation behind the action if you are doing something racist. So, you are doing it because you have a prejudice because of a color of someone's skin, basically, or some other that they belong into some group. But when they switch it around, prejudice plus power equals racism, then basically now it talks about only institutional power. So yeah, if the white homeless guy can throw people in jail, for example, just because he's white, then he would have systematic power. He would have systematic help for to act on his prejudiced thoughts. But if he doesn't have that power, if actually it's not even clear that white people are coherent enough group that they seek out self-interest. For example, like if white people vote for some kind of quota that is against white people, then they are going against their own self-interest. And they do it all the time. So it's not like white people is some privileged group out there that just looks out for themselves and tries to get worse situations for everyone else. If that were the case, then it would make a lot more sense. But, the thing is that now when you change the definition of racism, when you change that it's prejudice plus power equals racism, you just drop us a word to call interpersonal racism. Like, for example, if you can't demonstrate that I have concrete power over you, I can't be racist. So if a black guy says, I'm a fucking whitey and I should die because I'm such a bad person just because of my skin color. Now, of course that black person doesn't have systematic power over that white person, of course, but same goes with some random white person. He doesn't have any systematic power over that black person. So basically, now it only describes when institutionalized power is misused for racist deeds. Like, for example, you could say that if you could 100% guarantee that the police brutality, the police shooting black people is racist, then that would be racist because there is that power plus prejudice thing happening. If police would have that kind of systematic power and they would abuse it to just make life harder for black people, just do that all the time and such, and you could prove that's actually happening in this real world, there you have the current form of racism, power plus prejudice. The police people have power more than normal people and they would have prejudice against some group. But then again, if a individual white police would do a racist act and shoot individual black criminal, and that white person would then go to jail because there was no reason to shoot him, he was just being racist, then it's exactly same as if a black police officer would shoot a white unarmed criminal just because he's white. So that wouldn't actually be racism in that case if they are getting jail time or any punishment for that, because you can't show actually that there was institutionalized power behind it. But actually maybe that even the institutional power was against racism because they gave a punishment for someone being racist. So that kind of debunks that.
Regardless of your economic status, there is power in your white skin, whether you want to admit it or not, that I do not have. That
How? How is it?
Black people, that my black skin does not have.
Well, call me crazy, but I believe in colorblindness, and I try to strive for it. Of course, we all have unconscious biases, etc., but that goes for black people, that goes for white people, and actually I would argue that this is an unconscious bias. You can't look at the situation outside your own personal feelings. You can't differentiate, it just feels that you are being oppressed in every situation. If a white person says something bad to you, then it's automatically racism. This is racism because I'm criticizing your ideas, and I might say you are a fucktard when you are saying something fucktard. But actually, it would be same as a black guy would just make a debunking video. And many have done. So it's not racism, even though you would see it as racism if it's done by a white person to you, but you wouldn't see it if it's done by a black person to you. Then you just think that that black person doesn't like you, or maybe you think even that situation that the black person is racist. But that's just because you can't see anything outside your own oppressed view. And I really feel sorry for you, because I don't think I'm at all better than you. But you believe with every cell in your body that I'm somehow better than you. And that, well, we'll get to it later, but basically you would probably give all your money away if it would somehow make your skin color disappear. And just the way how you made so much money, how you are so popular in YouTube and whatever, I think shows that people are not that racist, that people just are interested in funny, interesting ideas and videos, and they are not that only concerned with race as you are.
And it is my responsibility to use my platform and to let y'all know that.
Yeah, and it's my responsibility to let you know that you just changed the definition of racism to something that, if you look close enough, makes no sense. Makes no sense because it's a, in many ways, flawed analysis of what racism is. It's, first of all, very narrow, and then it's just basically something that you try to prove that some people in the society should not be condemned by their racist rhetoric, racist speech and acts. Just that exclude from racism everyone except white people. So all the minorities, they can't be racist. Of course they can't be, because they don't have the institutionalized power. But you've yet to show how all white people have the institutionalized power. Even more so in these cases where white people actually take a lot of immigrants into their countries. They write and talk about paying reparations, and there's even some websites where you can give free stuff to black people, and white people do it because they want to feel good, because they are fighting the system. But I'm just saying that you need to prove that white people have somehow, all of them, institutionalized power. And even then you need to kind of prove that white people are a coherent group that works for their self-interest. Because basically even if they had power, but they would use the power against themselves, then that wouldn't make them racist. And they do it all the time. Whenever they have some quota for work or whatever, where it's women or other minorities, then they work against, white people regularly work against their self-interest in this way, and I think that proves that this institutionalized power thing is kinda shaky.
And to speak out against that, so that hopefully one day your white skin and my black skin will have the same amount of power.
How can they have same amount of power? Because you are so closely interested in the color of one person's skin that you can make these broad generalizations that all the white people have this kind of thing and none of the black people have any kind of privilege and whatever. So how can you actually get to the position where they would be same amount of power with both of them? You can't if you follow your logic. You can't if you divide people into groups that black people can't be racist against whites, but whites can be racist against blacks. Ironically, it is actually giving more power to white people in a way, because you recognize that a person of white skin has the power to be racist, that it is possible for them to be racist. But then you take away the same power from black people because you think that they can't have any institutionalized power or whatever, that they are inherently incapable of acquiring institutionalized power. And that makes no sense at all. No sense. And I think if you wanna ever get to that situation you were talking about, that the white people, white skin and black skin has equal power, then colorblindness is the way. I know you think colorblindness is racist, but it's actually the only way. Just ask Martin Luther King if you have any doubts.
You know what you won't do? You won't silence me.
I don't want to silence you. I wanna debunk you. I wanna show everyone how stupid your ideas are, and I want you to respond to my ideas and show where I go wrong. I'm gonna show where you go wrong, so you can do the same, or you can think you owe no explanations to some white people because they are so bad people or whatever. I don't care about that either. I'm just here to talk about ideas. I have no interest in silencing anyone. I want you to speak more. So I have more of a job to do. So I have more of videos to debunk and spend my time and do this because I really like to exercise my intellect. I really like to argue and debate these ideas because I think here you are the racist and I'm not. But let everyone be the judge who listens to these arguments and how I point out where you are racist and how you should fix that.
I don't know if maybe you white people are mad.
I don't think many of us are mad. I mean, a lot of us are silenced because the majority of people seem to think that you are somehow right and we are wrong, and that our arguments can be just forgot and not talked about because of our skin color. But we don't do it to you. I value your opinions, and that's why I take my time of my day to have this discussion, to talk about these things, because I don't want to silence anyone, and I hope you don't want to silence me either.
You know, because the coins you were struggling to collect, you know, to pay your last light bill, I spent on this. But that's neither here or there. But I do find it awfully hilarious, truly, honestly, that the topic of the conversation at hand it's not the oppression of black people. I know you guys don't know, like, the definition of oppression. I know you guys don't, like, really know what that is or what it means. But y'all...
I do know what you mean by it, but I don't think you understand how flawed that idea is. Like, if you look at close enough, you can see the holes everywhere. You can see that it's just a way to ironically, by being racist, by kind of having this low expectation of minorities that they can't hold power, they can't be dangerous, they can't do racist stuff. This kind of expectation of low bigotry that black people just are inherently somehow worse off and worse people than white people, and therefore they can't be racist and they can do and say whatever. But it's not actually like that. Racism is just the motivation behind some act, and if you do prejudice against another group of people based on their race, and that's basically racism. That's as clear as it is, and that power plus prejudice holds no value or any idea, because it just robs one type of racism out of existence, the type of racism where black people are racist against black people or other minorities are racist against other minorities or whatever, or black people, but it only leaves out that white people are racist. But actually we can all be racist, and that's pretty easy to see when people do racist acts and racist stuff.
Are like lollygagging around that topic. The topic here is my money. It is the money that I make. It's the fact that I make money, so apparently I can't experience oppression. Apparently I can't be oppressed or disadvantaged due to the color of my skin.
You can experience what you want, and you can have whatever feels you have, but please have some proof of your concept, proof of what you are saying, other than I feel oppressed, because that doesn't convince me or any person who has any argumentative skills or is willing to debate this idea. It doesn't hold any ground. It will never convince anyone if you just continue to talk about your field. Talk about statistics, talk about things you can prove, make sense. You haven't made yet, so I hope you are starting to make sense soon. I haven't watched this before, I'm just responding this off the cuff.
Because of the money that I make. You know what? You know what I've always been? I've always been black. You know what I grew up? Yeah, that means I grew up black. You know what I didn't grow up with? Money. You know what the money I have now can do? It can do this funny thing called disappear. That's what money does. I make a lot of money, yes. I'm still learning how to manage it. One wrong move and I can lose all of it tomorrow. But you know what I'll always have though? You know what I'll always be? I'll always have this. I will always be black.
Yes, for you. Yes, I know you think you are somehow inherently worse off and not that valuable as me, just by that I have this beautiful white skin, but it doesn't actually tell anything about our value as a human person. Our deeds and thoughts tell a lot more about us than what identity political groups we want to associate with, which one of those we think is more defining. Am I more of a man than I am a white person, or are you more of a black person than you are a male, or whatever? I mean, it all comes down to this kind of group think that you think that when you go around in your world, and whenever a white person says something mean to you or is acting fucking stupid, like people often do, like 90% of the people are just very, I think, inherently not very nice to each other, etc. At least not nice to all the people. They might be nice to their friends, they might be nice to their relatives, but they don't really that much maybe care about random people or whatever. And they say something mean to you, you absolutely think if they are white that it was racist, and if they are black then it might be racist against you, or then it just might be that they are this asshole guy. But I try to look into the intentions of the individual person. If someone calls me stupid, then it really depends. Does he call me stupid because of something stupid I did, or he thinks I did, or whatever, or does he call me stupid because of color of my skin? In the later case, he is racist. On the first case, I just shrug it off and move on, and I suggest the same to you. I really suggest.
And I will always experience the disadvantages that come with being black. An officer will not ask me how much money I make prior to pulling me over for no reason. You know what they will do though? They will ask after pulling me over how much money I make. They'll ask a lot of questions that are none of their fucking concern. How much money you make? Boy. What do you do for a living? They can't wrap their heads around how I can drive a car so nice and be this dark. It just really...
Yes, so here we go again. Example of what I told you earlier. When a police person, was it white or black, stops this guy, then he thinks he can read their mind and see that they are racist when they ask these questions like how much you make. Even though if you ask me how much I make after you pulled me over and are about to write a ticket, it's because, at least in our country, we have different amount of tickets based on income. So it's like some percentage of income monthly that you pay if you do certain kind of fine or whatever. So it couldn't possibly be that he asked how much I make because he wants to do his job correctly and bill me the right amount for my misdemeanor as speeding or whatever he wants to give that ticket for me. No, it must be racism because I'm black. No, wait, I'm not black, so it must not be racism. Oh, wait, makes no sense. Of course police can ask that question, it's a very valid question. And he can even ask it, I think, in small talk, because you probably drive a really big, really hunky ass, super interesting car, and they are genuinely interested that, whoa, you seem like a millionaire, or you seem like a very rich person, so what the hell is happening? And it doesn't necessarily mean that they are racist. I know you think so, but that's just how flawed your thinking is here.
They can't wrap their heads around the fact that someone this dark makes what they make in a year in like a month. They can't wrap their head around that, which is perfectly fine. It's perfectly understandable. But regardless of where our bank accounts stand, they still have all the power. They can still shoot me. They can get away with it. I can be the next Trayvon, the next Michael, the next Eric, the next Sandra. I can be...
Trayvon had a gun and he was reaching. I think. Yeah, like, I'm not gonna look into all of these, but many of the times when these people are quoted, they are people who went for the gun, resisted the arrest, etc. If you would only talk about the persons who are innocently killed, it would make more sense. But when you talk about all these, even the thugs and gangsters who obviously did something wrong, and you lump them together, and you try to convince me that you are treated differently, when obviously if you don't go for the gun, if you don't act suspicious or whatever, then the police will try to civilly discuss it and do their job. And I think the fact that you haven't been shot should prove that to you, that you are just imagining this, that they don't actually shoot just because you are black, like you would like to believe.
Be the next hashtag, regardless of the money that I make, and they'll get away with it. And white people such as...
Yeah, but how about if you just give them like a bribe? Like, I mean, as a poor white person, I might not have like $1,000 to just throw to the cops or whatever, but I don't know. If I were a white or black cop and someone would just say, hey, forget about this little thing here, take some money, I don't know. I might go for it. I don't know. But that option is not available when you are a very poor white person, so I guess your money gives you some kind of power, even though if you don't understand to use it, I mean, I don't know if you tried to bribe them and I don't know what happened, but just, I don't think it goes like this.
Yourselves will defend those officers. Well, he was being a thug. He should have really used that turn signal. He was 12. He shouldn't have been playing with that toy gun. He should have done everything that the officer told him to do. And he wouldn't be dead, you know? Sucks for him. That's exactly what you'll say. That's how you'll defend said officer who shoots and kills me. Who pulled me.
No, actually how I defend that officer that pulls you and kills you is not like that actually at all. You can look at my other videos about Black Lives Matter, and I do it with statistics. I do it by pointing out how minuscule of a problem the cops killing black people is compared to black people killing black people. So I'm kind of debunking it so that yes, there might be racism, and even if they are, it's about the scale. It's about this small compared to this big, and just stay in your home and whining and trying to convince everyone how poor and oppressed you are, and trying to talk people like me to whip themselves because how bad people we are. Do you think that helps the black community? Do you think that helps the fatherlessness that black communities suffer in the United States? Do you think that will pull you out of your problem of perceived institutionalized racism? Because even if it would be all the time racism when police shoots a black person, and I know it isn't. I know it isn't always racism because you never see anyone talk about police shooting white people. Like, whenever a black person is shot by police, it's automatically racism, even if the shooter is black. Let's go to riot, let's go steal a TV, yay yay, nice, we have our justification for doing these shitty things to our own neighborhood and making it worse for everyone living there, because when you trash places and steal TVs and destroy local businesses, then local businesses don't that usually wanna commit to that neighborhood, because they know that when next time people just want some bullshit justification to loot and steal their stuff and basically destroy their livelihood, then they will do it. They will do it because they think there's some racism happening in the society or something. So you're really fucking yourself up with this shit, because you're making those communities even worse for the people living there, when people don't want to invest in that community anymore because of these things, these riots and such keep happening. But even that is not of as a big concern, police shooting unarmed criminals or criminals even at all, than black people killing black people. And police come to see what's happening there when crimes are being committed in black neighborhood, risking their life, when this kind of rhetoric makes all the black people who believe in this shit very anxious and more likely to draw their gun, because they think that every cop is out there to harass them and being racist, when it's not actually true, and this is just nothing more than race baiting. And someday people will wake up and see this, but I'm just waiting for that day, and I don't know. I don't really want to be the guy who tells you in 2 to 3 years that told you so. I don't really get any benefit from that, so I rather put myself out there to really help to tell my part of the story, to how I perceive things. But I don't know. Let's see what happens.
Me over for no reason. Even had he pulled me over for a reason, had he pulled me over for speeding, and he were to end up shooting and killing me, you would find an excuse for him. You would defend him. You would defend his actions. His white actions. You know what I told myself growing up?
If we have camera footage that the police actually did do something racist or whatever, I would be on that police's ass. I don't condone racism, happened it to do a black person or happened it to do a white person, but I think this race baiting is the new type of racism we actually see a lot, and it's coming more mainstream, and it's just obnoxious and horrible. But the thing is that when you look at those videos, when you see the next time in media just a new video of some police shooting black person, ask yourself, is this the whole video, or did they just cut after, like, just the moment where the black person is shot, so that you don't see was he reaching for the gun or what was happening, to race bait more, to build on this narrative mainstream media and this guy has going on? Or did you see the whole picture? Because yes, there are individual cases of racism in police force, and not all of the times, but even sometimes those officers are penalized for that kind of racism, as they should, as anyone should who is racist or acts in a racist way. But on the other hand, usually you have just a small clip that shows that the police does something very odd, when actually you don't see the whole story. You could just type it into a Google, look any other debunking video of that news story, but you won't, because you wanna desperately believe this shit, even though it doesn't hold the light of day. Sorry.
while being black and while experiencing the disadvantages that come along with being black, something that you just simply won't understand. You'll never understand. I'm not saying that you didn't grow up with disadvantages. I'm not saying that it was easy growing up for you. I'm saying there's just shit that she'll never understand growing up me. All of the black kids growing up around the country, there's just this shit that you'll never understand. You don't want to understand it. All you want to do is argue with us and tell us that racism is over. What the fuck are you talking about?
No, but I mean, okay, let's take a extreme example. If I would be suffering, if you have seen this TV series that comes like a spin-off of Breaking Bad called some lawyer, whatever, Paul or whatever, I don't remember. But there's a spin-off series to Breaking Bad. There is this lawyer guy, Saul, I think, yeah, Better Call Saul is the season. His brother has this very rare disease that he's electric to electricity. And as far as I know, it's a real thing. But as far as they play it in the TV series, it might be just in his head, like totally psychosomatic and not really real. And it's played really interestingly. But of course, if I don't have that very rare disease, I don't know how horrible it is that you can't be close to electricity and you have to basically live without electricity and far off from modern society or whatever. Of course I can know that, but you can study it. You can make statistics, you can study the phenomena. Is it real? Is it just imagined? Is it psychosomatic? Is it a real disease? You can study these, even if no one else can understand how you feel and it's something that you only have out of million people or whatever. But you can study it, you can use science to conclude something. You don't have to just go with your own feelings. If you wanna have more information about it and study the phenomena, you can do it. It is possible. But instead you just no one can understand, only I can see myself. I could have even though my rhetoric is that everyone has unconscious biases and they are unaware of their privilege because they don't see it, but I'm different. I can totally see objectively what privilege I have and have not. I can totally objectively understand what's happening around me and that black people are being oppressed. I have no bias at all. Well, maybe you have. Maybe you actually have a bias. Maybe you just want to play the victim and it's not really working. It's not really working at all if you try to look at it in any kind of objective manner. I'm sorry, but that seems to be the truth.
Everyone's equal. Everyone's on a leveled playing field now. But you know what I said to my skin, to my black skin? I said, skin, you won't define me. While my mother is struggling to keep food in our fridge.
Wow. Oh my god. How ignorant are you that you say that the black color doesn't define you when you have a whole 30-minute video and many other videos trying to explain how the color of your skin defines you. That whatever money you have, whatever you do in your life, you can't escape the color of your skin, and people will treat you always differently no matter how much better off or less better off you are or whatever. It's just absolutely always 100% time racism. I think it does define you. At least I think you think it defines you. And tell me if I'm wrong.
And to keep the lights on, you will not define me.
I don't think it defines you. I mean, I see as proof how much money you have and such that I don't think it can be as bad as you say. I mean, sure there can be some disadvantages, like there can be some disadvantages at sometimes being white. For example, if there's some quota and I want to get that job, I might not be able to get that job if there's a minority quota. Here, I have a disadvantage compared to you, and I'm sure you have some disadvantage in some places compared to me. But you think the color of skin defines you, and I think it's totally small matter, doesn't define you at all. Your deeds and your thoughts define you. So your positivity versus your negativity define you. All the other stuff, then the stuff you can't actually help you, like for example gender, sex, or are you female or male, or then this are you black, white, or brown, or Asian, or whatever. I don't think those things define you as much as things you can actually, like hard work and stuff, that you can actually have a kind of a, you can actually affect, because you can't affect your skin color basically, unless you're Michael Jackson, I think.
You will grow up and you will see to it that your mother has everything that she needs. You may have to work a little harder for it than your white colleagues, your white classmates, but you'll get it. And you know what I did? You know what I'm doing? The only thing my skin color has to do with my money is that I had to work a little harder to get it. But you know what? In spite of the inequalities that I have faced due to this, there's still so much that I've yet to. There's so much. There are so many things that black people around the world, that black people in this country undergo that they face simply due to this. There are things that my people face that I'll never understand, that I'll never be able to relate to, that I'll never be able to sympathize with. But you know what I can do? I can't empathize. I can't speak out on those inequalities. I have a platform, and do you know what kind of cunt I would be, what kind of coon I would be to refuse to speak out on those inequalities, to refuse to let you know, to let white America know the problems that we face.
So first you say that you can never understand all the problems black people face, and you will never understand. Not only can I as a white person never understand a black person, but you are saying that even black person can't understand black person because of everyone's situation are different and you have to ask person's feels. But how about this weird idea that we actually live in a world that is kind of objective? It's not subjective. The world doesn't change how you feel, but there's actually a truth. There's actually, I'm willing to give you the chance that I might be completely wrong. Like, I'm just speaking what I understand and how I've studied things and read about it and compared different people's views and such. But there is possibility that I'm completely off and you are completely right. But how about that you don't try to muddy the water so much that you say yourself that you can't even understand other black person's suffering, but still you would be a coon if you don't speak out to help your people. But how can you help your people if you don't understand their suffering? How can you talk about anything objective if you can only talk about subjective experience you yourself had? I mean, I think there is objective reality which I can comment about, and you can comment about, and everyone can comment about regardless of the color of their skin. But I don't know, I guess I'm just crazy.
My brothers and my sisters, we are a group. We are a team. Whether they're going through this, that, and whether or not I've actually experienced it, I can speak out on it. I will not.
Yes, you are a group, you are a team. I've heard about this from other black people also, that, for example, if they just meet another black person on the street, then they are almost buddy-buddy all the time. And we don't have that kind of brotherhood going with white people. So that's actually one argument against that. White people even are this coherent group looking for their self-interest, and you can see it in many places that white people can just vote for more rights and more privileges to minorities and more money to women or whatever, and they are not giving shit about it. But you yourself are talking that other black people who don't agree with your message are goons that are betraying you. So you have this tight-knit thing, and I don't think so, and I'm not going for it, but you played out like black people are this coherent group that looks out for their self-interest, or at least they should if they are not coons or whatever. Well, I can say in my experience that white people don't have this. I'm attacked by a lot of white people because of my things, because I tell them that this way of thinking they have is racist. That this is racist because they have zero expectations for minorities, women and black people, and then only white people can be racist and stuff. And people attack me relentlessly and disagree with me all the time, even if they can't argument that well, and they just ad hominem me and stuff like that. But you are saying that you are actually some kind of coherent group that looks for each other's self-interest. So, what? Does that mean that you have power? Black people have power because they look for each other's back and such in situations, and white people don't do it because of examples I've given you. Oh my god, that's some revolutionary shit right there. I for the record, I don't think either side is coherent enough group to look for their self-interest, or they should, because if you are just looking out for self-interest, you are no better than a feminist who just looks out for women's advantage in everywhere. That if you are a black person and you look only for your black people's interest, then you probably are in many cases racist. You should strive for equality in society, not more for yourself. And that goes for everyone, regardless of their skin color or regardless of their sex.
Not let my money hold me back. Let my power hold me back. How dare you criticize me for speaking out?
No, I don't criticize you for speaking out. You do it. I mean, you should do it. You should talk about your ideas, and I talk about my ideas, and then people just decide who they believe, who makes better case for their ideas. I think that's reasonable. I think that is what this whole debate community, skeptics or atheists debunking religion and whatever dogma like this is all about. And I really like it, and I would never want to silence anyone. In fact, I even give Patreon money to people who disagree with me if I think their videos are funny and entertaining, and because if you would stop doing these videos, I would be out of work. This fun thing I have going on, this interesting thing that I can just spout out reason and debunk stupid idiots in the internet would stop. So of course I want to keep you talking. Like, that's totally against my self-interest when doing these videos if I would want to silence you. So what the hell are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about? And I know where this comes from, because you think that if someone disagrees with you, they are trying to silence you. Heck, I mean, I'm just a poor white guy, but I will pay you Patreon money $5 if you respond to this video with a video. I'll pay you. I mean, that's as much as I give to my other Patreons, because I wanna have more of this conversation. I don't wanna silence you. You talk about in your comments and in your rhetoric that you don't owe any explanation to white people, and that is also true. No one is forced to respond. But I want to have this open communication. I want to discuss these ideas, because that's the only way I can change my mind if someone convinces me that I'm wrong. I'm not gonna change my mind because it's in my self-interest. I'm not gonna change my mind just because of groupthink or whatever. I will change my mind when someone explains to me where I'm wrong, and not just spout some racist bullshit that is totally wrong and easily debunked. How about that? Why wouldn't anyone do that? Should everyone do that? And this disagreement with you, and even if I call you idiot, it's not because of your race, it's because you are being idiot. You are saying stupid stuff. And I'm not out there to silence you if I call you idiot, if I tell you where you are wrong. I wanna promote open communication, of course.
Out on the injustice that my people face as a whole. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm not the only human being in this country with this melanin. I'm not the only black person in this country. And the money that I make does not stop me. It does not prevent me. It does not give me a free pass from facing these same inequalities, these same injustices that other black people face.
Same. So you think that a poor black person and a rich black person face the equal injustices in our country? Like that, for example, you and some just homeless black person have exactly the same amount of possibility for example, applying to job or getting some other kind of thing, benefit or whatever in the society? No, I don't really think so. I really don't think so. I think I know that in your intersectional beliefs you think that race trumps money, like the race is more important and more defines you than, for example, money or even real true power. Like that white cop doesn't have institutional power because of his profession, because that's something he individually worked for and actually strived for and did, that he became a policeman and got power that way. But no, he has that power because he's white more, and maybe less so because he's police officer. And that makes no sense. Race doesn't triumph profession, race doesn't triumph money. Those are, in case of a police officer, real actual institutionalized power that you wield if you do what the institutional says. But it's not racism if the institution actually like gives you punishment if you are being racist. Then that's not you are not using the institutional power to be racist, when if you would be racist you are actually punished for it. But if you have money, you can also have power. You can, for example, bribe the cop. You can just, well, get out of a lot of problems when you have a lot of money. But then you think that no, that money doesn't change anything. It's just all about the race or sex. Well, no, it isn't. But let's see.
I don't have to argue with you on that.
You don't have to argue. Well, you know, of course, you don't have to argue with me on that. But you really should. You really should, because you are not making really strong case for yourself.
This is life. I'm sorry that you don't understand it. I'm sorry that you need examples. I'm sorry that you don't believe us. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that you.
I don't need any personal examples. I want something studied. I want something concrete. And because how mainstream this is and people are working on these ideas and studying it, and academia is pushing out ideas like racism is prejudice plus power, etc., it shouldn't be that hard to give me concrete proof that isn't bullshit. But no, you just have your personal stories that make lick of sense. Like, even in your personal stories I can see how not all you see as racism could possibly be racist, because I'm not so racist that I always think that if a person is different color than me, then I think worst of them. I think that must be because of racism what he did. There could not be any other example why he did it except racism. I don't do that to my opponents. I don't do that to other people in general. I don't try to mind read them, but I just want them to explain their opinion and tell my opinion. And I think it's very poor manner if you try to read someone's mind. And I do understand that it's very gray line in sometimes then if it's racism or not, because you can't be 100% sure what's the reason for that bad thing happening to you. Some cases are clearer than others, some are very muddy or whatever, but they can't all be racist, because how does that work? That yes, you understand and agree that people can be, I don't know, angry and stupid and do stupid stuff to each other, hurt each other. Even if you don't believe black people kill black people, I don't know. I don't even know how well you are versed in statistics or anything, but even if you don't believe that, then whatever. Whenever a white person kills a black person, automatically racism. It's not automatically racism, it could be racism, but please give people benefit of doubt. Please ask the, I don't know, try to get something out of it. Okay, I understand that asking might not be a good person because asking might not be a good idea because they wouldn't admit it. Okay, I give you that. But come on, you can't always assume the worst of it, your other people around you and think you are automatically correct, but still you somehow do it.
You can't just take our word for it. You just think we're overreacting.
Of course I can't take your word for it. Because will you take my word for it that I'm the most oppressed because I'm poor? No. We need something concrete. You have to make sense, not just appeal to emotion. That's just stupid.
Am I out in the scorching heat, picking cotton and making your food and raising your children while you separate and murder mine? No. Do I have to sit at the back of the bus? No. Am I?
Yeah. You don't have to sit at the back of your bus, but it's really interesting how you can see this social justice mentality in universities and other places that then actually that minorities seek to self segregate, that they seek black only accommodation, for example, if they're studying, etc. And you don't have to stay at the back of your bus. So why on earth would you demand to stay at the back of your bus? That makes no sense to me. I mean, only way to learn from the world and things around you is to challenge your own opinion by hearing the other side, to investing on the discussion, to talking it out and such. But if you just self-segregate, it won't do any favors to you. It will get you even small-minded, and probably in that group, when you all believe that black people can't be racist, your own inside your head your racist thoughts even grow, and you get even more kind of encouragement for other people there that let's be more racist and whatever, and you are completely out of this world. And even if mainstream media doesn't want to report on it when something actually happens like that, then it doesn't remove the fact that you are thinking racist things, you are doing racist acts when you are being racist. So, yeah, you don't have to be on the back of the bus, and I hope you remember it going forward, so you don't put yourself voluntarily in the back of the bus where you can't intellectually grow when you are not faced with other opinions, by blocking everyone, not talking to people who have a different opinion, or just that self-segregating your own community.
Forced to use a different sidewalk, to use a different restaurant, to use a different water fountain than you, to learn in a shittier environment, to attend school in a shittier environment than you. No. Does my mother have to duck and hide and sit on the floor of her car simply because she's a little too light-skinned, she's a little too white passing, while her black-ass father, her black-ass stepfather drives the car out of fear that white people will notice just how light she is and notice just how dark her stepfather is and assume that he kidnapped her? Does she have to do that anymore? Like she did growing up? No. She don't have to do that. But 400 years of that bullshit, 400 years of oppression, of racially motivated oppression, does not go away. It does not disappear. Cause and effect, my dude. That shit still affects us to this day.
Okay, even if I give you that, even if that still affects you to this day, it can, I don't know, I am not any economical genius, so I can't disregard that, and it probably affects to some amount. I think you exaggerate how much it affects, but let's say it affects still. Then how on earth, before all this Black Lives Matter bullshit, like just 2 years back, or let's say before we had a black president, before we had Obama even, 8 years back or whatever, we had a much better race relations in United States than we have right now. So how is it now worse off when you bring these things into attention than it was before? Like, that makes no sense. Like, how can you, if you try to fix it, how can you make it worse? And I can tell you how you can make it worse. By having the wrong premise. By concentrating on totally, because it's about the scale. How much of police brutality is actual racism and how much is justified working as a cop, etc. compared to, for example, black people killing black people. When you concentrate on the wrong premise, wrong ideas where the problems come from, and you just push away the real problems you should be addressing, even though if there's not any magical answer to how to fix that economical problems that the racism, the slavery and etc. before happened. And I do 100% agree that more, if we go far back enough, there was a lot of racism in United States. That is true. That is so true and so wrong. And I would like it to be fixed if I would know how and if there would be any kind of good idea how to fix that. But on the other hand, while you are stealing the spotlight away from the real problems, away from the real issues that are even bigger for the black community, and just concentrating on this really small thing, police brutality, police racism, then you are not helping the thing at all. You are actually making the race relations in United States worse off, because this kind of rhetoric spreads hate, it spreads racism, because you treat people differently based on the color of their skin, and you should never do that. You should never be racist intentionally.
You still benefit from that shit today. The fact that your parents were able to learn in decent environments, in decent schools. You had textbooks, and mine were not. My grandparents were not. We did not have the same luxuries. That shit affects us to this day. So you integrate our classrooms. What, 30 years ago? 40 years ago. And you say, okay, I guess you can learn with us now. I guess maybe, just maybe, we'll give you the same opportunities to score the same jobs as we can now, I guess. Even though we've been doing it for years. We've been doing it for years, but I guess now we'll pass the baton to you niggers. How dare you not be grateful? You expect all that shit to just disappear. You expect that shit not to affect us, to affect our families, our mindsets to this day. You expect that shit to just disappear. Do you? I would be an idiot for not speaking.
Of course it's affected the way your mindsets and such. That is obvious from even this video. But think about your mindset. Is it actually making world better, more inclusive world, or are you just spreading hate? Think about it.
Get out on this shit. An idiot. A sellout, a coon for not using my platform to educate y'all dumb motherfuckers. Regardless of what I have, regardless of what there is privilege in your skin, white people. If you see that, if you don't, there is privilege, there is power in your skin. I'm not educating you to make you feel guilty about that. I'm educating you so that hopefully you will wake the fuck up and realize that and say, wait, this shit ain't over. This fight ain't over, and we have to fight this together. But first, I must realize and accept that I have power. I have the ability. My skin, my white skin gives me the ability to speak out, to fight with. I can't help that your guilt hurts that much, though. It hurts so much it just keeps you from it. I can't help that. But I've done my job. I can go to sleep at night knowing that I've done my job, that I spoke out. Whether I can 100% completely relate to the struggles that my brothers and my sisters face, because I can't. Not 100, but no. There's shit, little black kids around this country, grown up around, experiencing that I'll never understand. But I can speak on it, and you won't silence me. You won't shut me up.
Don't play the victim. No one wants to shut you up. This isn't me trying to shut you up. And think about it this way. I mean, it's almost like you are jealous of my skin color. It really hurts out. Like you think I am a better person than you. I honestly don't think you are a worse person than me because of your skin color. I believe, if anything, it's because of your toxic ideas. It's because you spread race baiting and hate to 3 million people who subscribe to you. But what do I know? I'm just a very small YouTube channel trying to get my ideas out there because I think that the truth holds more power than lies. And that concludes our regularly scheduled program. Thank you for joining me, and next time we look at something different.